Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I, Varun Mansali, welcome you in this session where we would be discussing the impact of abrogation of Article 370 and 35A in Jammu and Kashmir state. This is being broadcasted on our VR1 YouTube channel. This discussion has been organized by International Institute of J&K Studies and Analysis, that is ITSA, of which I am the co-convener. ITSA has been a pilot project started in Jammu with the aim to ensure that the correct version of voices of civil society are heard at national and international level. It is felt that since 1947 or even earlier, the happenings in Jammu and Kashmir state have been and are reported in a distorted manner, depending on the selfish motive of the individual or the organization or a political party concerned. So we are making an earnest effort to get the academic intelligence of Jammu and Kashmir state on one single platform and apprise the world about the true situation on ground and the real feelings of the masses in Jammu and Kashmir state. The general citizens and their voices are ignored by decision-making powers. Today, I have a galaxy of intellectuals from Jammu who would be analyzing the situation in Jammu Kashmir after de-operationalizing of Article 370 and 35A. We would discuss this evening that the de-operationalizing of Article 370 is a boom or a pain for the citizens of Jammu Kashmir who have been suffering from the dirge of your due to selfish motives of handful few and are condemned due to the misery. I now hand you over to Brigadier Dr. Vijay Sagar Dhiman, convener of International Institute of Jammu and Kashmir Studies and Analysis, ITSA, who will introduce you to the chief guests, the panel, and our distinguished guests. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Varun. Thank you so much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a pleasure and a matter of great honor for me to be in the presence of this distinguished intellectual from Jammu and host of other special guests from India and abroad. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the idea of ITSA, that is International Institute of Jammu and Kashmir Studies and Analysis, was conceived by me after my retirement from the army. Well, post-retirement, while I was the Vice Chancellor of a university, I was also in touch with your think tanks in Delhi and abroad. And one such organization even offered me a fellowship. And I was too happy to accept that, but I explained to the management that my research on Jammu and Kashmir and the allied matters must take place within the precincts of Jammu and Kashmir state. So that I'm in close touch with the events as they happen and not as reported by some motivated, selfish segments, including that of media. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my efforts for 2 years did not bear fruits as it involved finances. And the managements were not ready for this kind of a venture to pay me some money to go and start my work in Jammu. And finally, one day on the advice of one of my counselors, our revered Mr. Narendra Shishodia, who will be joining us very soon, and he's also an ex-Director General of IDSA, that is Institute of Defense Studies and Analysis. He advised me that I should not waste my time in this venture and must start something of my own. Well, I set out to configure a small research entity in Jammu, wherein today we are only 5 of us working on ground, and we have a patronage of about 35 intellectuals like you all who are keeping their hands on my head. So, most of the people are present over here also in this August gathering, who provided me with a lot of prudent advice, and I extend my heartfelt thanks to all of you. However, my work did not end here, and I guess God also wanted to test my resolve. Well, all preparations done by me had to be halted due to Corona outbreak. And now that the Corona restrictions have been partially eased out, so we decided at least we should go ahead with the webinars at least. We had plans to be offline, and same has been reflected in the approach paper which I have forwarded to all of you. And this is how the ITSA is shaping up bit by bit, but surely there. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I will now like to introduce you to our chief guest, Ambassador G. Parthasarathy, Well, I'm so grateful to you, sir, that you accepted my invitation, and I'm so happy and elated that you are on the panel with me here, sir.
Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, Ambassador doesn't need any introduction. He's an international thinker, a prudent analyst, and whole world knows about him. And we all are aware of his tremendous experience in the areas of diplomacy, and especially in case of South Asia, wherein that he was, I think, so you had 3 tenures in Pakistan, if I'm not wrong, sir, including the one of an High Commissioner. And today also, government, whenever they wants prudent advice on this area, this region, and I'm sure, I know that Ambassador Parthasarathy is always there. So thank you very much, sir, and warm welcome to the portals of ITSA.
Thank you.
Well, gentlemen, now we have a panel of speakers. First one in the line is Mr. K.V. Jandial. He is a career bureaucrat, having 40 years of experience in Jammu and Kashmir, all his life, and he knows the each nerve of how things work in Jammu. And today, we shall be honored to hear him for at least 10 to 15 minutes, which will be telling us what exactly is the situation after the operationalization of Article 370 and 35. Similarly, we have another intellectual from Jammu, who's Mr. Ashok Bhan, Dr. Ashok Bhan, I'm sorry, sir. He is the ex-Director General of Police, and again, he is a very, very expert, and he knows every bit of the security scenario in the Jammu and Kashmir. Then we have Lieutenant General P.S. Mehta, a retired army officer, who is again a son of soil, but then he's had tremendous amount of tenure in Jammu and Kashmir in the insurgency areas, and he carries a lot of experience, actual hands-on experience in fighting with the terrorists. And a word about him, which he'll be telling in detail about himself, but I will tell you, he is also one of the victims of this entire gamut. At the so-called genocide of Pandits we talk about, it was also few minority Sikhs in the valley, of which he is one. And I take pride in being his friend, because his father belongs to the regiment which I belong to, that is 45 Regiment. And then we have Dr. Vrinder Gupta. He is an academician par excellence, and he's been into Jammu and Kashmir affairs for last more than 40 years. All his life he's been here, and he's been in the Jammu University, head of the department, and in various other capacities. He served the area very well. He's been in advisory role to the government many times, and there are forums like IIPA or Public Opinion Forum, such like local think tanks in Jammu, of which he is a very, very important constituent of. So these are the 4 speakers, and finally we'll request Ambassador Parthasarathy to give us his views about the whole thing. And now I will also introduce you to a few of our guests from abroad. We have Dr. Amjad Ayub Mishra, who will be joining us, Mirza, who's a human rights activist from Mirpur and TOJK, and now in exile in UK. He will soon be joining us. I think he also has some problems of connectivity problems, so he'll be joining in. And Mr. Varinder Sharma, who's an MP in UK, is already with us. A warm welcome to you, sir. Then I'm also expecting Ms. Lakshmi Kaul. She is an advisor of Bob Blackman, again an MP in UK, who's pro-India, and she also told me, just give me a phone, and she'll be liking very soon. Then we have Lalit Sharma, president of International Dogra Society. Manu Khajuria, she is also running a similar Dogra organization in UK. Then we have Simone from Switzerland, Vania from Portugal, Boyd from Canada, Tabindu from New York, Virti Kha from New Zealand, and of course, the final foreign guest of mine, my life, my friend, philosopher, guide, and everything for me is my daughter Kanika, who is the third.
So I would now like to come across Professor Vrinder Gupta. Sir, as an academician, you have been seeing, watching all this happening around you. You have been watching Jammu and Kashmir from so many years. What do you think? What has changed? What has changed positively? What has changed negatively? What according to you, sir?
Respected Brigadier Vijay Sagar Saab, Dr. G. Parthasarathy, and other respected speakers invited in the seminar. I see this as a very positive, bold step by the government of India. And before starting that, no, after the abrogation of Article 370 and 35A and reorganization of the Jammu and Kashmir state, number of decisions have been taken. And may I point out that in spite of the this Gupkar declaration that those people who met on 14th of August 1919, that we will strongly resist any change in the Indian constitution and the status quo. You see that nothing happened in the Srinagar Valley and no protests were lodged, and not even a single person has come out to uh, uh, register his protest against the decision of the central government. After this abrogation, the number of important decisions were taken, and some of them have been talked about: the extension of many of the central laws to the state, replacing the permanent state subject to domicile certificate, reforming the land laws. And after these important decisions, some major administrative decisions were also taken. That is the Roshni Act, which was enacted by the Farooq Abdullah government in 1901, retrieving government and the forest land from the land mafias, introducing medical insurance policy for all the families residing in the Jammu and Kashmir state, having those people having a ration card or domicile certificate, and introducing Article 73 and 74 in its full form, and holding at present the DDC elections. No, recently there was a reaction from the Kashmir Valley leaders. They confirmed their resolve on the Gupkar declaration, and asked for fighting tooth and nail against this change, and bringing back the Article 370 and 35A. But you see the statements of the leaders who have joined. The statement of Omar Abdullah, he said that we will not participate in any of the elections unless 370 is again brought into. And then the statement of Mehbooba Mufti, that we will not hold the national flag unless the state-owned flag is not my hand. And similarly, recent statements of exciting the terrorists, exciting the separatists, and blaming the government of India that the oppression is always going to result into the violence. And then the Farooq Abdullah, that we will take the aid of the assistance of China government to get the 370 back. So all these statements are out of the frustration, and may I tell that no, the clock cannot be reversed, and what has been done has been done. And so I come to the what are the basically things which have been achieved. Now this people, one thing more I want to tell, that sensing that they are not going to get a positive response from the voters in the DDC elections. So that is why they have joined together. And I agree with some of the speakers that in the valley itself, at present, the majority of the people, there is section which is supporting, and the majority of the people at present, they are not expressing their views about the present setup, but there is quite a section which is also in favor of the new changes that have been brought by the present government. The domicile domicile certificate, it was that any person with fulfilling certain eligibility criteria, he can get a domicile certificate. And again, the new land laws, that any person who wants to purchase a land and want to start a business here, or he can come and purchase the land in the state. That has also been introduced. So this is a change that was brought. And you see, there was some opposition in the people because of their preset mind about the purchase of the land, and the particular sort of some of the leaders of political parties. They have a lot of apprehensions and raise certain doubts about it. But may I tell you that nobody is going to come here and snatch your land. It is for the benefit of the state, and because there is a large amount of unemployment in the state, and if the industries come here, and if they float the industries, and number of people are going to get a job, and the local people they can interact with, and they can also develop their own industries with the initiative taken from the outsider. Now, government, Jammu and Kashmir government has come out with a open mind on this law, and it has already allotted the land, you can say quite a good amount of land for the development of the industries. And they are also they are also those people, just like Kashmiri people, though are talking about the change of the demography in this particular case. But you see, the Kashmiri leaders, they encourage the Rohingyas, they encourage the Bangladeshi to settle in the Jammu region, and also encourage the Kashmiri Muslims to settle in the Jammu region itself to change its demography. And even in Kashmir, they invited this Tibetan Muslims and allowed them to settle in the valley itself. No, they are talking about the demography of the state, and number of the Kashmiri Muslims, they have come here and established their colonies in the Jammu region. And they change the demography of the Jammu region, and no, they are telling to the Jammu people that your demography is going to be changed, and so they are the most suffered because of land loss. This is a ridiculous type of a explanation being given by them. No, the new laws are beneficial for the state. They will attract the investment from the rest of India and even from the foreign countries. That shall give a boost to industrialization and opening of new avenues for the progress of the state. It shall not only provide the employment opportunity to the youth of the state, but shall lay a milestone for the growth of state economy, establishment of industries, progress of health, education, tourism, and other things. State government, as I told you, identified 2.4 lakh of canal of land for the purpose of the same, and that has been transferred to the state industry and the commerce department. There is more 4.8 lakh of the total land which is going to be transferred, and this is waiting for the you can say clearance from the forest department. And as per the information by statement by the Lieutenant Governor, about 65 big businessmen, they have already in contact with the state government, and 30,000 crore of the rupees have been marked for the establishment of the industrial estates in the Jammu and Kashmir state. The government is working to eliminate the unemployment from the state as per the statement of the Senate. Now, after this fact, as have been told, the Roshni Act, that has been cancelled, and the concerned DCs have been asked to cancel the mutations concerning the land allotted under the Act. You see, the government in 2001, this Act was introduced by Farooq Abdullah NC government, and they floated the idea, we are going to earn 25,000 crore of rupees, and that will be utilized for the benefit of the people of the Jammu and Kashmir state. But the fact is, as per the COG report, that only 75 crore was collected, and the total land was 20,64,972 canal. That is 1,44,58 hectares. Now the government asked for the, apart from that, the government is also going to target the land mafias, and there is a lot of land, 24 canal of land that has been captured by the government land that has been captured by the land mafias, and then 21 lakh acres of the forest land that has also been occupied, you can say, encroached by some of the big persons and the high ups. So government, as per the administration, is on the job, and about 9 lakh canal of the land has so far been recovered, and the DCs have been asked to identify those lands, and then number of development activities have also started after the uh, abrogation of the Article 370 in the Jammu and Kashmir state, which would not have been possible in the earlier regime. And to name some of them, there is a ring road construction around the Jammu city. Some of the projects are also going on the Kashmir Valley also. One is the ring road construction project, and its first phase of 8 kilometer has started, and total it is 58.25 kilometer long ring road. It starts from Raya and then goes to Mad, Akhnur, Balwal areas, and the deadline fixed is the December 2021. So it is a fast moving project. Similarly, metros in both in Jammu and Srinagar cities, they have come up, and 2024 is the deadline set up for the completion of these projects. Similarly, there is express route from Delhi to Katra via Amritsar, and this route is going to reduce the cost. It is under process, and work is going on in different phases, and this is going to, it is a 6 to 8 lanes road project, and it is going to reduce the Delhi to Katra distance from 727 kilometer to 588 kilometer. That is about 6 hours. It is going to reduce so again, then water sport facility at Basoli. It was inaugurated recently in 28th October 2020, and in Pangar area of the Basoli, which is along the Ranjit Sagar Lake, Pangan. So there, this is going to be developed, and 3 crore has been already invested for the development of the building. Then boating facilities also being created at the river Chenab and river Uj. Similarly, there is a project like Uj multi-purpose project, and this is also has been declared recently, and it is going to, you can say, 781 million cubic meter of water is going to be provided, which is going to benefit about 31 lakh 1,380 hectare of areas of Kathua, Hiranagar and Samba, and it is going to produce 186 megawatt of plus 26 megawatt of power there, which is going to benefit the area there. Similarly, Patnitop ka cable project has also been started. Jammu ropeway project, its first phase has started now from Mahamaya to Bahu. Then bio industry park at Kathua. This has been inaugurated. Lot of investment has already gone into it, and it is done with the collaboration of the Canada and the IAM of India, and expected that other participation of the other collaborator may be come into through the CSIR, and it is shortly going to be completed to 2021. And this is going to attract the number of going to provide the employment to the number of the people in the area, and develop the medicinal plants and other activities, bio activities are going to be pursued. Then another is the free medical insurance. This is under this recently it has been announced for each family annually 5 lakh medical insurance has been sanctioned by the state government. The other project of the Mansar rejuvenation project, 200 crore has been already sanctioned. This will attract tourists to the Jammu region also. Then model city project, this is for the Jammu and the Srinagar. And apart their share from Ravi project, in this regime, the J&K government has been able to get its full share from the Chenab river, you can say this dam, which is called as Shahpur Kandi Dam, the full share that the government is going to get. And this is going to irrigate 32,000 hectare of land, and we are going to get a 206 megawatt power. So in this way, a lot of projects have been started. And there is a Batal Gala tunnel in Riyasi, which is the highest tunnel in the Asia, with the investment of 7.0 crore. It is being also established. Then 12-ton span bridge that connects Kathua to Punjab. So and the new industry policy has also been declared, and some relief has been given to the industries and to the businessmen. Apart from this, I just want to go to the something of the social aspects, as I already talked about, that there is an effort by the Kashmiri parties to build up again their cadre, and again their connections also with the extremist elements. This is clear from the statements given by the Kashmiri leaders. And so far, the public response is not forthcoming to them. And people feel that the slogans of the going to free fifth, and it is also realization on the part of these Kashmiri leaders also, that it is not possible for them to go to the situation of 5th August 1919. And they also know it. And that is why, this is the reason that they have, they were not talking about the participate. They were talking about that they will not participate in the state elections. But no, they have come out of that, and they are talking about the statehood. Grant the statehood, hold the elections. So this is the slogan that is being propagated now. So this shows the realization on their part also that the target that I have set there before them, and this target that they have set is only to again boost the morale of some of the separatist elements. And so overall in the Jammu, something has been talked about. May I tell you, the Jammu people are a confused lot. They don't know where to go and where not to go. There are certain voices, a party is their political party, which are asking for the महाराजा का ये जम्मू कश्मीर इतना इंटेग्रेटेड जो है उसको बनाया, और सेम पार्टी टॉकिंग अबाउट द जम्मू स्टेट for the Jammu region. So similar elements are, they are just, what I mean is that they are trying to get some political mileage and some type of a, you can say, approach, some leverage, so that they can also approach the people and misguide them. So other parties also which are talking about the Jammu identity and all that, and these people, they are not realizing that the Jammu identity was eroded during the past 70 years by the Kashmiri leaders. They have established number of colonies here. You see here in the Jammu region, around Jammu, there was only 2-3 mosques. But now you are after 20 years, in 2000. After 20 years, you are finding about 100 mosques in the Jammu city area only. So this type of things was happening, and they are not realizing the fact that their identity and their culture, they has been eroded by the Kashmiri leaders. Their demography was changed entirely. And they invited the Rohingyas, they invited the Bangladesh to get established in the Jammu region. They issued the state subject for them. So this realization has to come. And I agree with the Major Lieutenant General P.S. Mehta that we should continue with the Union Territory status till the situation are improved in the valley and in the state. And we have to put a special effort on the people of the valley who are misguided by the slogan of this Azadi, are misguided by generally they are, you can say, misguided by the mass priests about their, so we have to bring them into the mainstream, and they have to be made realize that this is not going to be possible to convert India into a Muslim state, or even the Jammu and Kashmir, you cannot put the Muslim law in the Jammu and Kashmir state. So this has to be realized, and so we have to focus on this. There are a number of madrasa, there are a number of the intellectual class, particularly school and college teachers and the university teachers, and also some of the government employees who are again preaching the same, pursuing the same agenda in the valley, and we have to check them also and take the action against those employees also, and also the government teachers and some of the mosques which are still preaching the fanatism in the Kashmiri valley. They have to be closed, as they have done in the number of other countries also. You see number of countries in the, what has happened in the France. So you should have your own syllabus for teaching in the in the madrasas also, so that the a clear they can the religion, their actual religion which is there, that should be preached, and no other things that jihad and conversion of all the Hindus to Muslims and making India as a Muslim state, all these things has to be stopped. And this type of, if we focus on that in the valley and in the rest of the country, there is an element which is also being having the same type of a psyche of jihadi movement. So these has to be, a challenge has to be met, and this has to be met with in a very aggressive manner and very systematic manner.